y'all, I'm Tatum Harvel and I'll be doing your E&H sports interview. After being introduced to first-time events, the track and field team is paving the way for Division II athletics within their program at Emory and Henry College. And putting up some good times against new opponents and boasting personal records, the team is doing well. Joining us from the team, we have senior Lucas Biggerstaff. Lucas, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. And you know, Lucas, looking back at the track and field team over the past few seasons, we've seen the Division II transition come with new events that the team is experiencing for the first time ever. And as someone who has seen both sides of the program here, how has your team prepared differently for this new journey?
I think as we've began transitioning to D2 from D3, I was recruited here as a D3 athlete, and seeing the transition to D2, I have noticed that the training has stepped up, and I think that's partly on the coaches for recognizing that the competition is taking a pretty big leap up as we transition to D2, and so they want us to be prepared as we possibly can going into D2 athletics.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that you talked about being here as a D3 athlete, and when we look at your all's preparation across the board, I know that on campus you haven't always had a certain space allotted just for your team to practice. And with the addition of a track and field facility coming in the near future just for your sport, how do you think this will help?
Yeah, and I think over the past few years with the program, not having that facility, you know, you would think that that would hinder us, but I think the ability for us to adapt and find creative new ways to train has made us stronger athletes. But at the same time, with the introduction of a new facility, that's going to draw in many more athletes because they're going to see this shiny new facility and think, wow, this is a place that I would love to come and run.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great point. And when you talk about always being so adaptable from Division III and, you know, just making your way the only way that you know how, when we look at Division II athletics and the adaptability that you've had to get here and where you are now, what do you think the toughest obstacle has been for your team this season as you started facing these new teams and new things?
I think, and I'll speak from a personal level, being recruited here as a D3 athlete, I knew where my skill level was. I knew the people that I would be running against, like their times, their skill level. And then I knew from the moment we announced that we were going to be transitioning to Division II, I knew the competition was going to step up, and I knew there was going to be some points where I would feel like, holy cow, like I'm in a whole new league, like this is something that's new to me, but something that I've tried to bestow upon the new athletes that we've had coming in is y'all were recruited here because y'all were performing at this level, and y'all need to live up to that potential, and don't be discouraged if your first year you don't quite do as well as you hope, because you have 4 years here and this is a new program that is developing, and you're sort of the foundation of a program that's going to flourish into something strong.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about the opposition that you see yourself facing and some of your teammates, you know, just any negative thoughts that enter their mind, how do you think you all have come together and just really overcome that as a whole?
I think I've recognized those obstacles going into D2, and something that I try to bestow upon the athletes coming in is that prioritize your love for the sport first. Because with D2 athletics, obviously there is that potential for scholarship coming in, but if you're coming in just for the scholarship, then you're not really going to get the benefit of the sport out of it. Because when I was recruited here, obviously D3, there was no scholarship money involved for me, so it was simply just a love for the sport. And obviously I know the people coming in, our recruits, are a little bit of a level above me because they are recognized D2 athletes, but I try to instill upon them that love for the sport, because yeah, you are good enough that you can get paid, but if you don't have the love for the sport, then you're not going to improve in the way that you want to down the line. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Lucas, when we talk about overcoming challenges, sometimes in those places we're often presented with the greatest of opportunities. And when we look at your team in this season alone, you all have boasted multiple personal and school records to boot. So was this expected?
I think it was expected. I think we knew that because most of our records were held by Division III athletes like myself, and I think the coaches knew coming in with a new caliber of athlete coming in that there was going to be excelled performance. But I do think there was some surprise because most of the records that were previously held were held by people who had been here 3 or 4 years, and for freshmen to come in and new athletes to come in their first year perform this well, it was a pleasant surprise, but at the same time it sort of was expected given the direction that we are going.
Yeah, awesome. And Lucas, for our last question, looking at your success so far this season, how do you think your team culture has played a role in that now, and how do you think it will continue to help you all grow in the future?
I think, speaking strictly on this year, our team is noticeably small compared to like football, who has like over 100 people. But I think that small culture provides like the family aspect that is critical to a sport like ours, because with that family aspect, like, you're not going to find anybody on our team. Like, we are hanging out with each other constantly every day. We know what each other is going through. We're going to help them along with whatever their problem is, whether it be athletics or academics or personal. And so I feel like it builds that strong bond so that when we get on the track or when we get on the cross-country course, we're a family and we know like each other's struggles. We're there to lift each other up athletically, academically, and personally.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Lucas, thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck in the rest of your season. We'll be following along with you. This concludes our sports interview for EHC-TV. I'm Tatum Harvel, and we'll see you all next week.